بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. Firstly, apologies for the late and the changing of the times. SubhanAllah, I try my best not to do that, and if I do change the times, to let you guys know as soon as possible. SubhanAllah, there's a program today that I had to go to. I had to take the bus to get there, and the program went on about 2 hours longer than expected, and then on the way back as well, SubhanAllah. Things just didn't go to plan, and took me a lot longer. على كل حال, I just wanted to use this moment as a reminder regarding having patience and seeking knowledge. Now, I know it can be difficult, either sat there waiting or something like that. Well, in fact, Shaykh Ahmed al-Husari did that with me. For example, I studied with him التنبيهات السنية, which is the most in-depth explanation of عقيدة واسطية. We did it in about over 50 lessons, maybe 52 or something. And he would do that with me. He would say, right, the lessons now. Like sometimes he wouldn't even let, we wouldn't even agree from before. He would just turn around and say, right, lesson 10 minutes, get ready. And I'll, I'm doing something else. Or he'll say lessons. So, but alhamdulillah, we finished the book. That's a very in-depth explanation. So we did the explanation of the explanation that was there. Alhamdulillah, we were able to complete it. So, patience is needed. Barakallah fikum. Next week, I really didn't want to cancel because next Thursday, I won't be able to do the lesson. Next Thursday, I won't. So the way we're going to do today's lecture or today's lesson, inshallah, so we're starting Kitab al-Hajj, alhamdulillah. You know how we do like maybe 20 minutes, half an hour, and then next week, the next lesson, 20 minutes, half an hour, and we finish like that, right? Now, because what we're going to do, inshallah, we're going to do the lesson as much as we can today, bi'idhnillah. And inshallah, on Monday, take a bit more, and by Tuesday, basically finish Kitab al-Hajj. And then you'll have a whole week basically to revise. You'll have a whole week to revise, inshallah. And the week after would be, the Monday after will be the exam for Hajj, and we'll continue after that, bi'idhnillah. So that's the plan of how we're going to do the next few lessons for Kitab al-Hajj. Now, the way the Shaykh has done Hajj is that firstly, he's talked about Hajj, the pillars of Hajj, the types of Hajj, and recommended the wajibat of Hajj and what nullifies Hajj and so on, and a few other rulings. And then after that, he then talked about and then the sifa of Hajj, okay, how to do Hajj from A to Z. So how like Salah, we had the rulings and how to pray Salah. Similar here. So right now, if you don't understand everything, okay, exactly where does everything go, but it's not a problem. That's not the main issue. Right now, you just need to know technical rulings. If you know the technical rulings, then we can, at the end, inshallah, we can go through how to do Hajj from A to Z, bi'idhnillah. Right. So fourthly, Hajj. The fourth chapter of fiqh, because obviously Shahada is Aqidah. Hajj is the fifth pillar of Islam. It is fifth pillar of Islam, and it's obligatory. And Hajj, if you first time studying it, is a bit difficult, so I don't want to go into too much detail. Similar to Zakah. Fasting, I've added a few extra points because it comes every year. Hajj, maybe not. Not as much. So I don't want to add too much, inshallah. Hajj is the fifth pillar of Islam, and the adillah from the Quran, Sunnah, they can easily be found. خلاص المنشنة. The ayah from the Quran is وَلِلَّهِ عَلَى النَّاسِ حِجُّ الْبَيْتِ وَلِلَّهِ عَلَى النَّاسِ حِجُّ الْبَيْتِ. And for Allah, على الناس, upon the people, i.e. obligatory upon the people, حِجُّ الْبَيْتِ, and in other قراءة حَجُّ الْبَيْتِ, to Hajj. From the adillah from the Sunnah would be Islam built upon 5, and from them is Hajj, and then it's Ijma' as well. Okay, this is the adillah. And it's the pillar of Islam. Everyone should know it. Everyone should know. Every Muslim should know it. Darura. This is like necessity. Every Muslim should know. Now, it is obligatory upon. Right? Who is the obligatory upon? The Shaykh basically mentions the, shurut al-wujub. Who is the obligatory upon? Muslim, sane, and mature. Mature reaches age of puberty. And who remembers there's other fuqaha have another way of saying somebody who has aqil, baligh aqil, somebody who has reached the age of puberty and has intellect. They use one word for it. Who remembers that word? Not mukallif, mukallaf. No, mukallaf. Ahsant. Very good. Because action has been done upon. He's not the one who's given the taklif. He's not giving the taklif. Rather, the taklif has been put upon him. The responsibility has been placed upon that person. That's what's mukallaf, ism maf'ul. As mukallif would be ism fa'il. No. All right, that's Arabic for those who know Arabic. Okay, after that, free, he's not a slave. Able, he has the ability. Okay, ability is both in wealth and in terms of physical ability. If physically you're not able to, then you'll pay somebody else to do it. And financially, if you're not able to do it, then it's not obligatory upon you. Okay, so that's what it means by istita'a. And istita'a, what it means is that, if for example you have, let's say basically you have enough to go, and nowadays with by the visa, and if you need to go with a group, however much that group would cost, that's what we mean by istita'a. Okay, it doesn't necessarily mean that, right, you have to start walking now. Okay, whatever's urfan, whatever's known. And if you have a loan upon you, then in simple terms, as long as you don't have to pay it off now, and you can easily pay, like the time isn't for you to pay now, the time is later, and you can easily make it up. Or a Hajj group will say, right, we'll take you in Hajj for, like, they'll say to me, maybe du'at, they'll say, look, okay, I'll say, look, I can't afford it, but they'll say, no, we'll take you and we'll pay for everything as well. Khalas. Then it's obligatory. If I've got the opportunity, khalas, it's obligatory for me to do it. So that's istita'a is not, the ability financially is not something difficult. If somebody's saying, right, you have to pay it off now, then khalas, then you have to pay off the loan. And there's another condition, which is for a woman, a male guardian for a woman who needs to travel to perform Hajj. And if that's a condition for her to do Hajj, if she does not find a mahram, she can't. Hajj is not obligatory for her. And subhanAllah, if that is the case with Hajj, don't know about just traveling to go to a shop or program here and there. So these are how many conditions. So you can number them, inshallah. I'll number them as well. So the first is al-Islam, then intellect and puberty, free ability. So that's 5. And there's a 6th one, which is for women. So 5 conditions, or 6. The 6th one just for women. Similar to Siyam, to be honest. We had 5 as well for fasting, right? And the 6th was just for women. Now, okay, what are the pillars of Hajj? What are the pillars of Hajj? When we say pillars of something, we mean these are the main things that the whole act is like action is built upon. Yeah. And by the way, like I said, I'm not going to add too much information extra. I'm just going to try to stick to the book. Next lesson, I might add a few points. I might come back to a few points and add some. Today, stick to the book, inshallah. So the main pillars of Hajj, the pillars of Hajj are 4. Firstly, ihram. Second is al-wuquf bi Arafah, being in Arafah. The third is tawaf. And 4th is sa'i. Sa'i is your Safa Marwa, going between Safa and Marwa. That's called sa'i, i.e. between the mountains. Okay. What do these 4 pillars mean? Ihram is the intention to make Hajj. Okay, and intentions in the heart. As for saying labbaik Allahumma labbaik, that's or the which is known as the talbiyah, or even the wearing of the clothes, that's not considered ihram, which is the pillar. Okay, that's not ihram. A lot of people think wearing the clothes is ihram. That isn't ihram. Ihram is making the intention. Yes, they call the clothing ihram, but if you call it, but when we say the pillar is ihram, that's not what we are intending. The ihram is made in the heart, is your intention. The second is being on the Arafah. This is from Dhuhr on the 9th day of the Hijjah until Fajr on the day of Eid. That's the timing for Arafah. No. And that's the famous hadith of the Prophet where he says, Al-Hajj Arafah. Al-Hajj is Arafah. This is like one of the most important pillars of Hajj. So you have to be there. Minimum, you have to be there for a little while. You don't necessarily have to be there the whole way, but you have to be there. Okay. I know the people sometimes, if you get late, maybe you didn't get the tasrih, which is a permission to go Hajj, or you get stuck in traffic and you end up being there late. If you miss the 8th day, for example, labas, as long as you catch the 9th day, Arafah, then your Hajj is intact. The next is tawaf. Now, this is very important. We have 2 types of tawaf in Hajj. We have the first tawaf, which is known as tawaf al-qudum. I'm going to stick to the Arabic words, okay? I'll explain what I mean by tawaf al-qudum. Okay? And then we have the next one, which is known as tawaf the Sheikh used the word okay, زيارة, طواف الزيارة. Yeah, and it's also known as طواف الإفاضة as well. But stick to the word زيارة for now. طواف القدوم, so you do in Hajj, you do طواف twice. The first is طواف القدوم, is when you get to Makkah, you do طواف in the beginning. Okay, not part of Hajj. This is before Hajj. And then you have طواف الزيارة, and this is the one which is intended here, the طواف of visiting. And this only happens after Arafah, meaning the tawaf that you do after Arafah, that's the one that we're talking about, which is a pillar. The other tawaf has its ruling, which will come. So you could do as many, you can do 100 tawaf before, it won't count as this. So tawafu az-ziyarah. And it's called ziyarah, if I remember correctly, because you're traveling from places to places, right? So you're basically visiting. I believe, yeah, I think you're in Mina at the time, and then you go just to do the tawaf, and then you come back to Mina, basically. So you're visiting in that sense. That's what the Sheikh, okay, now the Sheikh says it is not the initial tawaf. Tawaf al-qudum, you know, those in Arabic, qudum, you know, in a hadith, qadima fulanun ala fulan, it means to, you know, to visit them in the beginning and to come to them. So it's not, that's the first one, basically. We're not talking about the first one. Tawafu al-ziyara, which is the second. And lastly, sa'i, between Safa and Marwa, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, inna Safa wal Marwa min sha'airillah. So these are the four, pillars of Hajj. So how many pillars of Hajj are there? There are 4 pillars of Hajj. Ihram, al-wuquf bi-Arafah, al-tawaf, and al-sa'i. 4 pillars, right? And try to learn them in order, because generally this is the order. Even though sa'i is a bit of ruling, but generally this is kind of the order. So al-ihram, al-wuquf bi-Arafah, الطواف or طواف الزيارة, you know, I think it's good to memorize طواف الزيارة, so you know exactly which one it is, and السعي. And that's it. Try to memorize them in order. You know, even when you talked about the condition of salah or the pillars of salah, in order. That's ilm. Otherwise, if you do it, Shaykh Haytham says, إذا دخل العلم غير مرتب يخرج غير مرتب. He says if knowledge comes in not in order, then it's going to come out not in order. So if you ask a student what are the pillars of salah, and they turn around and say sujood, ruku', fatiha, what are you going to do now? You know, they're all over the place. They don't know what they're going to miss. But if a student, he comes and he says, right, it's al-qiyam ma'a al-qudra, standing, and surah fatiha, and the ruku', he goes in order basically. Even if he misses something like labas, at least he's got the order there and he can easily fill it in. So likewise, try to learn in order. Right, the types of Hajj. There are actually different types of Hajj. There's different ways of doing Hajj. The ulama differ on which one is the best. Many of them think tamattu', because the Prophet ﷺ said if I was alive in the following year, I would do tamattu'. And some of the khilaf. We don't need to go in that. The point is there are 3 types of Hajj and you can do any. You can do any. The first is tamattu', the second is qarin. It's qiran. It's actually qiran. Qiran, that's the correct way of saying it. Wallahu alam. From what I've heard, is qiran. I don't know the harakat here, but it's qiran. And the third is ifrad. Right, what is tamattu' and qarin? There's 2 parts to it. There's 2 parts to the definition of each of them. The difference, the 2 points is firstly how to do it, and the second point is do you have to do a sacrifice or not? Do you have to do a sacrifice or not? So if we start with tamattu', let's read. Tamattu' is one performs Umrah in the month of Hajj. The month of Hajj after Ramadan, so Shawwal. Shawwal. Ramadan, Shawwal is Dhul Qa'dah, is the Hajj, yeah, right? So these are the months of Hajj. So you can start your intention for Hajj in any of those months. It doesn't have to be in the Hajj. So you do Umrah in the month of Hajj, and you free oneself from Ihram, then perform Hajj in the same year. So basically what this basically means is that you do this type of Hajj is where you do Umrah, and then you finish your Umrah, and you're not in the state of Ihram anymore, and then you do Hajj. And you have to do a sacrifice? Yes. And this one, a sacrifice an animal. This one, you have you sacrifice the animal. Qiran is similar, but there's one slight difference. One intends and performs Hajj and Umrah together and has to sacrifice an animal. Basically, you do Umrah. After finishing Umrah, you don't come out of the state of Ihram. You stay within the state of Ihram. You stay in the state of Ihram until Hajj. And we're going to learn the things that you can't do. Like in a haram, for example, you can't cover your head, you can't have relationships, and so on. So you stay in that state and you do Hajj. and you sacrifice animal. Ifrad is that you just do Hajj. Just do Hajj and there's no sacrifice. Just do Hajj and there's no sacrifice. So Tamattu is, in simple terms, whenever you have Umrah and Hajj, you sacrifice. And Tamattu is where Umrah, then you come out and then you do Hajj, you sacrifice. Qiran, Umrah and Hajj together, sacrifice. Ifrad, just Hajj. That's it. There's no sacrifice. For Tamattu, so basically, you can say this for Hajj as well. So if you do Umrah and you come out the state of Umrah, and then it's time for Hajj, do you have to go back to the miqat? No, you don't. You don't. That's this for Hajj. Why? Because you are already in Makkah at the time. You'll be in Makkah at the time. Okay. So if you're in Makkah, the thing is, the reason you go to the miqat is because miqat is the which you're going to get to anyway. But miqat is basically normally outside of the haram boundary. So whenever you do Umrah, you combine between haram and halal basically. So you go into the halal area, then you come into the haram area. With Hajj, Arafah is outside of the sacred area. So you're going to go end up there anyway. That's why you don't have to go to the miqat. So that combination is already there in the parts of Hajj, in the actions of Hajj. Right, the obligations of Hajj. These are the obligations of Hajj. Okay. So how should I split it? Yeah, we'll take the next. We'll take 2 more pages, inshallah. 3 pages should be enough. And on Monday we take the next 2, and then the last on Tuesday we will take the Sifa of Hajj. Okay, for us. Okay, the obligations of Hajj, wajibat al-Hajj. Whoever leaves on an obligation must make it up by sacrificing an animal. A sheep slaughtered in Mecca and its meat is distributed to its people. It is not allowed for him to eat its meat. Because that's a ruling obligation, right? Pillar you miss out, then there's no Hajj generally. But an obligation, if you miss it out, then you have to give a dam. I'll talk a bit about the dam tomorrow, and are there any differences with different types of dam? But you have to make it by sacrificing an animal. And it's slaughtered in Mecca and distributed to the poor people of Mecca. It is not allowed for him to eat its meat. What are the obligations of Hajj? There are 7. Firstly, doing ihram from the appointed place, which is known as the miqat. So you do ihram at the appointed place. Okay, not after, not before. That's very important. And that's why, subhanAllah, some students that they do Hajj without permission, the way they get the way they do it, basically, the checkpoints, they don't wear the ihram. So they go past the miqat without wearing the ihram. They make the intention, that's in the heart, but they don't wear the other part of the ihram, which is the clothing, which you have to wear before you make the intention. And then once they gone all past all the checkpoints and they're in Makkah, right? Once they're with all the people, then they put it on. But then they have to give a sacrifice at the end. Why? Because they didn't do this obligation, which is ihram from the miqat, from the appointed place. Now whether that's right or not, no, that's a different issue. Obviously, if you're doing Hajj and you want Hajj Mabrur is where there's no sin, anything in that, but then you've kind of gone against the law of the land by doing it. So that's another issue. But then again, it's Hajj. I don't want to go into that debate. Do people do it themselves, or is it the leader of the group, the slaughter? And different ways. The asl is that you go do it yourself, but you can get people to do it on your behalf. It all depends on the group that you go with. Okay, the second is to stay in Arafah until sunset for those that arrive during the day. So if you come during the day, when do you stay? You don't still have to stay until Fajr. You stay till Maghrib. After Maghrib, you can leave. Then staying in Muzdalifah. So after Arafah, you'd go to another place called Muzdalifah. SubhanAllah, if I remember, I'll look for, let me get a post-it note. Where's my post-it notes? I'm going to make a note. Okay, I've made it right. Found it. I tried to give a diagram to maybe at the end to show you, what are the actions of Hajj, inshallah. That's later, inshallah. Right, I just memorize the points. So then you stay the night in Muzdalifah. Muzdalifah is another place. Yeah, you stay the night there. Then you stay Mina during the 3 nights after Eid. And then you shave the head and cut the hair, and you throw the pebbles to shaitan. Okay, and then the farewell tawaf for those wanting to leave Mecca, even if it is after the month of Hajj, other than women in menses and post-natal. Basically, when you finish your Hajj and you want to leave Mecca, it doesn't have to be straight after the Hajj. Like if Hajj finishes on the 13th and you want to stay in Mecca for another week, that's fine. You don't have to do it then. When you plan to leave Mecca, then you do a farewell tawaf. So this is, you can see a third tawaf now. This is called tawaf al-wada'. Tawaf al-wada'. Let me write this. So there's 3 tawaf basically. I mentioned 2 before. This is, but this is when you're leaving. For Umrah, there's no tawaf al-wada'. I remember when I first started in my first year, one of the brothers, I didn't know how to do Umrah, so I asked him to explain it to me. And he said, yeah, tawaf al-wada', you do tawaf, then you stop, you look at the Kaaba, and you say bye-bye. And I believed him, like, it's just a normal tawaf and that's it, you go. SubhanAllah. I don't know if I should mention who he is. Some people might know who he is. Anyway, and I'll leave it. Right. So the Tawaf al-Wada' is always in my head because that's what the brother said to me. And I believed him until he left and said, he said, no, I'm joking. Right. Okay, what is miqat? Right. Miqat is the appointed place and time. There are 2 types of miqat. You have plural is mawaqit zamaniyah and makaniyah, for place and for time. For place and for time. The time, basically, the time for doing Hajj, as a month of Hajj, Shawwal, Dhul-Qa'dah, and Dhul-Hijjah. These months are specific for Hajj. Umrah can be performed. Umrah you can do anytime. When can you do Umrah? Anytime during the year. Even during these months. Anytime during the year you can do Umrah. But Hajj, obviously the actual days of Hajj and Dhul-Hijjah, from the 8th to the 13th. But if you do Tamattu and you do Umrah before that, then the intention can be made before that. And I know like those that come from Pakistan, for example, maybe India and other places. In England, normally if we only go for like 2 weeks because we have work and so on. So we come back. Those from Pakistan, they go for like 2 months. So they'll come 2 months early. So they'll do the Tamattu Umrah and then they'll just chill. Yeah. As for the places, now there are 5. Dhul Halifa is for the people of Medina. Juhfa is for Sham, Egypt, Morocco. Qarn al-Manazil is for Najd, Riyadh, and those areas. Yalamlam is for Yemen, and Dhat Irq is for Iraq. Now, all of these places are basically quite close to Makkah, maybe an hour away or something, apart from Dhul Halifa, which is Medina. And some of the ulama, Shaykh Ethan mentioned, some of the ulama said the reason for that is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as soon as he leaves Medina, he's entered into Ihram. And he's in a form of worship for the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So ulama have mentioned that reason. So basically, if let's say, see this box here, that's Makkah, right? Wherever you're coming from, there's like a miqat. There's like a miqat. And subhanallah, Imam Shaykh Qasim, when he was teaching us this in Zad, he actually brought like a projector and he showed us the places, and he actually showed us there's one that Umar radiallahu anhu added. I can't remember which one it is. Is it one of these or if it's another one? I'll confirm with you guys for next lesson, inshallah. Anyways, Umar radiallahu anhu, so Prophet he mentioned a number of mawaqit, and Umar radiallahu anhu, in his time he added one more. And Shaykh Qasim, he showed us in Google Maps where all the mawaqit are, and he showed us where Umar placed his. And using Google Maps, he drew lines, and he basically showed a line. Because from this miqat to this miqat, that's the line. Umar's was directly, not in the middle, like directly in the middle between them two, but it was on the line basically. And he was saying, subhanAllah, look at the fiqh of the Sahaba radiallahu anhum. As for the one that Umar added, it might have been Dhat Irq, but I can't fully remember. I've written it down. I'll double check for you in the next lesson, inshallah. Now, so these are the places, right? They are a bit confusing. I forget sometimes which one's which. I think Yalamlam I kind of remember because for Yemen, and Dhul Halifa, that's for Medina. As for Juhfa, Qarn al-Manazil, for some reason I remember that, but Juhfa, that I sometimes forget. Sham, Egypt, Morocco. So no problem, just go over them, inshallah. The main thing is that you know that mawaqit are 2 types, time and place. Recommended actions. So these are all these recommended actions. I'll quickly read them. Wearing the 2 white pieces of cloth for men. So wearing white is something recommended. You can wear them any color, to be honest, but wearing white is recommended. Taking a shower and smelling good for ihram. So taking a shower and putting on perfume before ihram is something recommended. As for on the ihram or after you enter the state of ihram, that's not allowed, as we're going to take next lesson, inshallah. Talbiyah from ihram until throwing a Jamarat al-Aqwa, so keep doing talbiyah. Clipping the nails and shaving the pubic and armpit hair before ihram, again, before the ihram, recommended. After ihram, la. We'll take next lesson. Walking quickly in the first 3 rounds of the one doing the introductory tawaf or the tawaf of Umrah for tamattu. So basically, when you're doing tawaf al-qudum or tawaf al-ziyarah, the first 3, so you do 7 rounds around the Kaaba for tawaf. The first 3 you should try to do it fast. If there are people there in the way and so on, then obviously don't harm them, just do it slowly, inshallah. The introductory tawaf for the mufrad and qarin, yeah, qarin, that's fine. That's ism fa'il now. So that'll be recommended. Pray Maghrib and Isha together as soon as one reaches Muzdalifah. So after you've gone to Arafah at night, you would go Muzdalifah. So you combine Maghrib and Isha as soon as you reach there. Exposing the right shoulder for the one doing intricate tawaf or the tawaf of Umrah for tamattu. So when you're wearing the ihram, the right shoulder, basically you get the ihram for men, they'll put it under the right armpit and it'll come over the left shoulder and the right shoulder will be showing. That's doing a tawaf. Kissing the black stone if you're able to. If you're able to maybe touch it with a stick or something. If not, then which probably most likely be the case, because of how many people come, then you just do it from far. Okay, Bismillah, Allahu Akbar, and that's how you start your tawaf. Sleeping in Mina on the night before, and standing Muzdalifah, supplicating from Fajr until just before sunrise. So these are the recommended actions. The recommended actions to do. Next lesson, inshallah, we'll stop here. The prohibited actions and what are the, if you do them, what was the ruling, and also some of the names and the best times to make dua. And then Ibn Uthaymin rahimahullah, he basically explains the whole sifa. That will take a lesson later, inshallah. Now, so that's for today's lesson. Today's lesson, what we've taken: Hajj, the pillars of Hajj, the types of Hajj, the obligations of Hajj, the 2,000 mawaqit, and the recommended actions of Hajj. Try to memorize them and understand them, inshallah. Next lesson we'll complete it, bi'idhnillah. And I'll try my best because I was out today, I wasn't able to prepare properly. I'll try to bring some diagrams and show you, inshallah, how to do Hajj, inshallah. I mean, maybe I'll even start off by showing you how to do Umrah as well. I think that'd be good. But Shaykh Ibrahim is going to explain it anyway, but I might just bring some diagrams just to show you. Bi'idhnillah. No. Which is the one for the UK people? I think for the UK people it's Juhfa. So what happens is normally for UK we go to Jeddah airport, right? So Saudi is over here and UK is over here. So, right, that's Saudi. Now Makkah is over here and Jeddah is over here. What happens now? The Al-Juhfa, the miqat is, I don't know exactly where it is. Inshallah, maybe on diagram I can check. I think it's somewhere like over here. Anyways, when you come from UK, you come this way, but then the plane goes like that. So you go basically on the plane, you go over the miqat. That's why on the plane, especially when Saudi Airlines, they'll make the announcement that we are going over the miqat. Whoever wants to make it haram, do it now. So you have to make it on the plane because you're going past the miqat. So you make it on the plane. So some people get changed on the plane. If you want to wear the clothing, I know it's a bit awkward in the UK in the airport to wear ihram, but if it makes it easier, wear the ihram and then go on the plane. And then all you have to do is, as you're going over, when they make the announcement, you can just make the intention. But some people like to go in the bathroom, but the only issue is that it might be a bit rushed. Do you have to? Yeah, the bathrooms are small as well. No, you don't have to be in the miqat. Just as you're going past the miqat, you should have made the intention before that. It is sunnah, the Prophet when he would go to Dhul Hulayfa, he would enter the masjid and pray 2 rak'at tahiyat al-masjid and make his intention. But you can, I remember when we used to go sometimes, if you were getting late, the bus would stop outside the miqat, make the announcement, everyone make an intention, and then they would just go. Sometimes they didn't even stop, they just make the announcement, right, we're going to go past the miqat now, we're making intention, and then they would just go. But can you access the PDF? Akhi, in the groups, in the Telegram group, one files, inshallah, I should find it. Inshallah. So, bismillah, next week's lessons are only Monday and Tuesday. Only Monday and Tuesday. The timings should be 7 o'clock. Let me double check quickly. Yeah, Monday and Tuesday is 7 o'clock, inshallah. We should finish Kitab al-Hajj on Tuesday. Then the Monday after that, we'll do the revision for Kitab al-Hajj, and then we'll continue after that, inshallah. When you go past the miqat, you can't do ihram. La. What do we take an obligation? The obligation of Hajj is what? To do the ihram at the miqat, not after. If you do it after, then you'll have to give a dam. You'll have to slaughter an animal, sheep. طيب بإذن الله we'll stop here. جزاك الله خير for your patience. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. Is Saudi in the miqat? لا, Saudi is all country. The مواقيت in Saudi.